I really don't know what Christmas is all about.
Welcome to episode number 2 of Merry ShayMas. I hope you guys are excited. If you are already subscribed, welcome back, my darling. And if you have not yet subscribed, subscribe. Subscribe and join a part of the family. The secret emoji for the Christmas giveaway is on the screen right now. There's only a couple more weeks before I'm closing that giveaway. And that's it. That's all, folks, because I want to try to make sure whoever wins the giveaway gets their giveaway gift before Christmas. So be sure that you are commenting those secret emojis down in the comment section. And of course, you are subscribed. Also, another side note, I've been like obsessed with TikTok. Let me show you. But if you enjoyed TikTok and you want to follow me over there, I'm at morganbeauty.yt. Of course, it is down below as well in the description box. Be sure that you are following me on all social medias, but here lately I've been really active on Snapchat and TikTok. So be sure that you're following me on those two places for sure. So before I did any of the requested videos that have come since I announced Merry ShayMas, I wanted to go ahead and do the third part of my first marriage story time. So like I ended the part 2, I'll have it linked up here in the cards. Both of those videos, part 1 and 2, will be linked up in the cards. But like I told you guys, just a little bit of a, rundown, okay? I talk about my first husband a lot on specifically Snapchat. I've talked about him quite a few times. And because of that, some of you guys have sent me like the Transformed Wife, Mrs. Midwest, and a bunch of other people, YouTubers in particular, that are like, was it like this? Was it like, it was exactly like that. Exactly like that. I'm going to be 100% real and raw like normal. And I'm going to tell you guys that he was not 100% honest with me either. Was I wrong in saying yes and marrying this man? 100%. It was completely just stupid. It was immature. It was not it, sis. But I did it, okay? However, he really didn't give me the full picture of how it was until after we were already married, okay? So, for instance, I thought that the way that they behaved on like Christmas and Thanksgiving was just because it was the holidays and like people get stressed out on the holidays. I know I get stressed out on the holidays, especially if you're like the mom or the grandmother in the family and you're the one like cooking the shit, wrapping the presents, frying the turkey. You're doing like all of the things. Like it can be super stressful. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was not really thinking that much into it. Now, I will also say that the first church service that I went to was not the way that it would be going forward. I wanted to say that as well. So again, we're going to go ahead and fast forward to March 2008 comes. We're riding in his car. Now, you guys, I was not sexually attracted to this man. And that was a big problem. And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a backstory here because it's going to be relevant. The person that I ended up marrying was somebody that my first boyfriend knew. And I knew that me dating this man was going to make him jealous. I knew me dating him was going to make him jealous. I can't remember what I named him in the last story time, my first husband, but we're going to name him Stan. When Stan proposed to me, I had zero intentions of marrying this man. Very immature, very stupid. It's a lot. Anyways, I say yes. Now, let me go ahead and tell you guys how he proposed, because this is even more of like a what? Because I've listened to like a lot of like uber religious people on YouTube talk about their engagements, and it's like they're in the middle of a field and it's sunset and this horse comes walking up. I wasn't expecting a proposal. So when he asks me to marry him in the Walgreens parking lot in Halls, Tennessee, while sitting in his car, I was a little taken back. No, I was a lot taken back. It was a lot. But I said yes. Fast forward, I graduate high school and I do not want to get married anymore. I'm not into him. I'm doing everything I can except for breaking the guy's heart to try to tell him like I'm not into this. I'm not into it. I had done everything I could. I'd avoided any time going to church. Matter of fact, I hadn't been back to church since that Christmas. The type of person like her, it is the worst to have to look somebody that you know loves you in the eye and say, I don't feel about you the way you feel about me. And now that I'm grown, I know that's the way that it has to be. Even though that it sucks and it stings and it hurts, you grow as a person, and also you don't lead somebody else along to the point to where they get even more hurt than what they would have been if you would have just, been honest to begin with. So, you guys, he ends up coming over to my house one in particular day. We had been engaged for a while, and he comes over to my house and he says, what's going on? Why have you been ignoring me? And I said, look, Stan, I'm just not into you like you are me. He looks me dead in my eye and says, I don't care. I don't care. I want to marry you, and I've already told my parents, I've already told my mom, I've told my grandmother, I've told my grandfather. I'm not going to say what type of company or anything like that, but Stan's grandfather was like a head up for this in particular company. And he had gotten Stan, the grandfather had gotten Stan promoted. And so Stan comes to me and says, look, I've got this promotion. Like, I'll do whatever it takes to make you happy. And I look at him and I say, it doesn't matter. Nothing you do is going to make me happy. I just don't love you. And I remember like my heart sinking when the words come out of my mouth. I remember my nanny's face when the words come out of my mouth. I just remember being like stunned that I had even said it, but like he would not listen to me. And that would be a common occurrence with Stan. Anyways, he ends up literally begging me. It was stupid. It was literally stupid. I wanted what I couldn't have, and I was so immature. It was so stupid to marry this man. And here is where things are going to start to change, because this is when his grandmother insisted that I come to every church service. And so I did. This would be towards the end of May going into June. From May all the way until the day that we got married, I went to church every single service, and I spent every single Sunday, the entirety of the day, at his grandmother's. And while I am an adult and while I do make my own decisions, I was very immature, and I can say my own self, when I was 18 years old, I wasn't grown. I wasn't grown. And I feel that I was incredibly brainwashed between those periods. And I look back at it now, you guys, and I read like what I wrote during that time. I didn't even talk like myself. I didn't have anything to do with my family. I shut my nanny completely out. And this is when like my nanny was like having enough. I started to believe things that I knew in my heart was wrong. I started to say things that even as they were coming out of my mouth, I knew was gross. Like, it was just bad. It was really, really bad. And so we go to get married the week of my mom's birthday. So it was early August. And my nanny had literally paid for this entire wedding. She was pissed. She was so freaking pissed. She was like, I can't believe you're doing this. This is a huge mistake. You don't need to do this. Please don't do this, Morgan. You're making a huge mistake. You're not even talking like yourself. I quit wearing makeup, which that's when, like, I remember my nanny later telling me, like, that's when I knew something was wrong with your ass, because I didn't wear lipstick. I didn't put any colorful eyeshadow on. I mean, nothing. I wasn't cursing. I stopped listening to any other type of music. What I'm trying to say here, guys, is myself was gone. And everybody tried to tell me, and I was not having it at all. I thought that women were supposed to be in the kitchen. Men were supposed to go out and provide. I needed to go to stand for any decision that I ever wanted to make. And the preacher, we got married at Stan's church, his family church. I would have never gotten married there. Like, I know that. The preacher even says in the vows, do you vow to submit to your husband? Do you vow to do this? Do you vow to do that? Do you vow to take care of him when he's sick? Do you vow to cook dinner? Blah, blah, blah. All these things. We also did like a candle lighting ceremony, which I think is beautiful in that two becoming one. But we also did it with like his mother and grandmother and my mom, and it was so bizarre, you guys. The preacher was saying something really odd. And so now let's go ahead and go past the wedding. We're living in one of my dad's rental properties, and we're kind of doing things to like fix up the property. At this point, Stan starts working for this other company, and he starts going out of town 5 out of 7 days a week. So he's home 2 days a week. That's it. And this is when I started to like wake up. However, you guys, we were married for about 4 months before I started to like, he got that job. And during those 4 months, I don't even like remember myself. I don't recognize myself. There were no pictures taken of myself during that time. If you go down through my Facebook back to that time, there's none. There's none of me and him together. We never took a picture. If you weren't in my family or my close friend circle, you wouldn't have even known that I got married. People that maybe I went to high school with that probably are watching this and it's like, I didn't even know that you got married a first time. Like, they're not even going to know about this. So, because your girl's been married twice, about to be the third. And this time I'm getting it right. I'm making sure of it. But I don't even recognize myself from that time. Like, it was literally a Stepford wife, like, robot. And even more so, I wasn't able to cut my hair. I wasn't able to dye my hair. I wasn't able to put any type of styling products in my hair. The mother ended up throwing my straightener away one day when we were having a yard sale. Like, just craziness. So fast forward, like I said, he ends up getting this job. He works out of town 5 out of 7 days a week. I start hanging out with one of my friends that I went to school with. We're going to call her BB. Right off the bat, she's like, what is up with you? Why aren't you saying shit? Like, I would meal prep before he would come home. That way, everything would be ready. Any of his favorite meals would be ready. Like, literally a Stepford wife. And she's like, what are you doing? Like, you're not yourself. And after a couple of weeks of him being out of town, I started to like, almost as if you were to just wake up from being in a coma. Like, waking up and being super confused, being really emotional, just super upset, not happy. And this is going to be a little bit of TMI, but it's the truth. So I'm going to share it. As far as like sexualness, there wasn't any. Matter of fact, I can count on one hand how many times that even happened between marriage and it ending. So our marriage did not last very long at all. Not long after he started working out of town, I realized that I was not happy and I had made a huge mistake. I end up telling my nanny and I go stay with her. He ends up coming back into town. He begs me to come home. I'm like, absolutely, like, we've made a huge mistake. We're not meant to be together. You're wanting me to be somebody that I'm not. I'm never going to be that person. I'm not happy being that person. Like, your bitch likes to go out and dye her hair every now and then. And I like to do my full face of makeup. And at the time, I was wanting to do YouTube. And he was completely 100% like, you're not doing that. And that's how it was. Like, it's not like what you may think. Like, babe, can I use the credit card to go buy, a $30 eyeshadow palette? Of course, like, if it's like a more expensive product, I go to Chris just so that he knows, like, this is what I'm using the money for. But if I was to go to Chris and say, babe, is it okay if I eat your macaroni and cheese for lunch today? He would be like, why are you calling me about this? Like, it was for everything, you guys. It wasn't just small things. Also, they do not believe in masturbation at all. At all. They think it is a 100% sin. I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable. Sexually frustrated, miserable, not happy, not able to be myself, not able to do anything that I wanted to do. It was misery. So I just tell him all of this on the phone, how completely 100% happy I am, and that I love him as a friend and as a person, and I'm sorry. And he said, well, it's my fault. He said, it's partially my fault because you told me you didn't want to get married, but you'll change your mind if you just be patient. I'm like, that's not the way it works, Stan. If I'm calling you and telling you that I'm not happy and I'm not in love with you, you know? And he was very upset. He was very, very upset. Matter of fact, one of the first and only times I ever heard him curse was on the phone with me that one in particular time. Let's fast forward maybe a couple of more weeks. I had left my vehicle there. And I can't really get into why. But something happened. I had to leave my car there. We'll just leave it at that. Anyways, I end up getting a call from one of the neighbors because this was my dad's rental house, okay? And right next door was a family member of mine. People my dad went to school with was all around the house, like people he had known his whole life and my whole life, lived all around. So one of the neighbors calls me and is like, hey, are you at home? And I was like, no. And she was like, well, who's got this big bonfire in your backyard? Me, I'm thinking that Stan was just like burning wood. I didn't know. And she says, no, like this is like stuff. I see a bed. I see all kinds of clothes. I'm like, what the hell? So I call Stan and I'm like, Stan, what are you burning in the backyard?
He said all of your shit.
All of my stuff. So me and my nanny hop in the car. By the time we get there, it was probably 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And he had burned my high school diploma. He had burned our marriage certificate. He had burned all of my yearbooks. He had burned anything that I didn't take with me. So I had taken with me like my little journal, and I had all kinds of clothes and shoes at my nanny's. So everything that I left at that house was basically, for the better part, burned. Everything. The wedding dress that my nanny had bought, which I could have gotten a lot of money from to give to her from that wedding, he burned all of it, everything. And I just remember getting there and just like being in like shock that like he had done this. And a family member just reminded me of a huge part I missed. Also, when we arrived, they were standing around the fire of all my shit praying for me. Oh, yeah. They were standing there praying for my soul. I still to this day really and truly believe that his grandmother and mother had something to do with it. I still wholeheartedly don't believe it was 100% him. During the divorce, he did say it was him, and the judge did make him pay me alimony. And that's not my fault. Like, he burned I literally packed like a duffel bag to go to my nanny's because I still had clothes and shoes there. It wasn't like I needed a whole lot, but like all of my childhood photographs. My pappy had already passed away at this time. The portraits that I had of my pappy, portraits of me, him, and my nanny. All of my yearbooks I had collected through the years. All of those things were gone, 100% gone. But there's one other thing that ends up happening, and I'm going to make you guys wait for the final part of this story time. I hope you guys did enjoy the third part of my crazy religious family story time. Also, do be sure that you do tune in for tomorrow. We are going to do this Grinch-inspired eyeshadow look. Also, if you're wondering about my shirt, this is from Fashion Nova. I love Fashion Nova. And yeah, you guys, be sure that you are subscribed before you leave. Follow me on social media down below. And until next time, my babies.